Hi, everybody. Happy Thursday to you. This is Hondo Carpenter from Sports Illustrated's Fan Nation Las Vegas Raiders Insider Podcast. It's great to have you all with us today. We got a lot to dig into. Excuse me, today. We've got so much video and so many articles that we're posting. I hope you're availing yourself to it very quickly. Thank you to all of you. We are growing so fast, tens of thousands of you are watching our videos. We really encourage you to hit the subscribe or follow buttons, however you're listening or watching. Please do that. We thank you for doing that. It allows us to just continue to bring you. I think it was yesterday we had 17 pieces of original Las Vegas Raiders content, from videos to podcasts to articles, all of it 100% free. And we're going to continue to do that. We put up videos yesterday. Josh McDaniels' press conference. We put videos up talking to Max Crosby in the locker room, Davante Adams. This morning put up videos of Michael Mayer and Tyree Wilson. This podcast will have more coming tonight and then more throughout the week heading into game week in Chicago. So got a lot going on. I'm headed to Chicago. As soon as I'm done with this podcast, I'm jumping on an airplane and headed up that way. But we got a lot we want to talk about today. And I think it's important to get into this discussion. First of all, I want to talk to you about Davante Adams yesterday. He is a generational talent. He is an extremely hard worker. He took less money to come here. This is a man committed to excellence. And so he's frustrated that the offense is not performing excellently. Now, I'm starting to see some, not all by any stretch of the imagination, but some fans, he's a prima donna, get rid of him. I think you're not reading Davante at all. Now, remember, it is not my job to tell you what to feel, but you're not in the locker room. You're not at practice. You don't know him on a personal level. And so when I do, I'm going to make you available to some information. And then you can decide whatever you want. Number one, he is absolutely committed. And this is a man who keeps his body in tip-top shape. He takes great care of himself. He knows the playbook backwards, forwards. He is not your typical NFL prima donna receiver. I've seen some people say that about him. It's just not true. He is a blue-collar lunch pail, I come to work ready to go kind of guy. I've had some people ask me, is he becoming a prima donna? No. But he took less money to come here because they sold him on championships. And since he got here, he said, I'm glad I wanted to play with Derek, but I want to win championships. They convinced him of that. And he is one of the few players, and there are a handful. Max Crosby is the only other one on the team. And yeah, I know they have Josh Jacobs and some other guys, but those are the only two players that have the ability to speak back or speak up, and it's not disrespectful. And Davante's coming at it. Hey, I left a lot of money on the table to leave Green Bay because you people promised me you're committed to championships. I'm here. I can make a difference. I don't want to only score 19 points. I want to score more. Now, someone asked me, and I thought it was a very fair question. How can he say it's not about me, but it is about him? That's fair. I'm going to explain to you because I do know him and I understand his frustration where he's at. It's not, if they were winning by 20 points, 3 scores, whatever, he wouldn't be saying a word. But they're not. And his feeling is, I can help them do more because I've done more. That's fair. That's fair. And so is it selfishness? No. But it's, hey, we're not doing what we need to do. I understand there's times I'm double and triple teamed. I get that. But there also is times I'm not. You got to get me the ball. You got to feed me. Let me help you. I know what I am. I have a problem in today's modern age when all these people want to make guarantees like Joe Namath. Um, but I'm okay with it when you deliver. I'm not okay when you make guarantees and the guarantees don't happen. And he's saying, listen, I know what I've done. Now, this isn't Trey Tucker. This isn't DeAndre Carter, even Hunter, who's an all pro. It isn't even Jacoby. This is somebody who's done it at a much longer level and a longer time than all of them. He's better than all of them. And he's saying, hey, I keep hearing Josh tell us where we need to go. I know this offense. I know what I'm supposed to be doing. We're not doing it. Now, so for the Raider fan that thinks he's becoming prima donna, he's not. Now, again, you're welcome to feel that way, but I'm telling you, as a guy that's around him, it's not him. And remember, I'm the one that told you he didn't want to be traded, all that stuff. I'm the one that told you a year before he came it was going to happen. Go back and look. We wrote about it a year before he got here. I even had some of my colleagues in the media who are my friends make fun of me. Never going to happen. Well, it did. So that should tell you I have pretty good ends there in knowing what he's thinking. That's not braggadocious. It's you wanting you to understand where my viewpoint's coming from, where my purview is. And if you go back and watch the video, and I really encourage you to do it if you haven't, I said to him, is there solace or is there comfort in the fact that your coach is just as frustrated as you are? I've had it, and he's like, yeah, 100%. And I've had some people say to me, is he calling out Josh? No, no, because his coach is that mad. Do you remember the article that I wrote yesterday where NFL executives put the offense under the microscope? And I told you I'd heard from people in the organization that Josh is effing pissed. He's very. So you have to understand Josh McDaniels is just as angry as Davante at what's happening, and they're working at it. And so I don't think anyone has approached this maliciously unless you just hate Josh McDaniels and you think everything bad. I mean, you think what's going on in Gaza is Josh McDaniels' fault. I can't deal with irrational thinking. That's your choice, but I'm not even going to try to address it. But for the person that's being practical, what you literally saw was Davante saying, yeah, I'm very unhappy, but I'm also comforted by the fact my coach is pissed. He believes in him. He believes in the system. That's why he's mad. And he said it. And I respect him for it. I don't think he did anything wrong. I think it was great. And the reason I asked that question is because I know him and I know his thinking. And I knew there would be some people that would try to misconstrue it. And that's why I just said, do you not take comfort? Your coach is just as mad as you, 100%. And he agreed. But I encourage you to go watch it. This anger's good. I want to talk about the locker room yesterday. I was with Sam Gordon from the Las Vegas Review Journal. Good guy, really good guy. And we were in the locker room standing there, and we both were commenting with Zeke Trezevant, my assistant beat writer, about the locker room in the feel. In fact, I encourage you to go watch the video I put up last night of Max Crosby from the locker room because I asked him about it. That was a loose locker room. These are guys that got a couple game winning streak under them. They know what they have. I had a player late last night tell me, we know what we got. We know what we got. We know we got to execute. We know that this is on us. I had a person tell me yesterday that I spoke to after practice, after I left the building, that said to me, who had read the article, The fact that there's guys down the field open tells you Josh is calling the right plays. We just have to execute and get the ball to them. So they get it. They understand it. I have maintained that I think this is a 9-8 team, and I'm not moving off that one bit. That's what this team should be. The talent's there. I think this team is close in a lot of areas to getting better. Still don't think they're a team that makes a playoff run. They may sneak into the playoffs, maybe sneak a 10th win, but it's a 9-8 team. But they're coming, and the players get it. In the mood yesterday, people were having fun. They were excited. That's not a locker room that's quit on the coach or quit on each other. They understand where they're at. Now, Chicago is a team that I expect the Raiders to win this one probably 24-14. Excuse me. But this Raiders team is they know what they have. They understand that they're suffering from self-inflicted wounds. They get it. And I know there's a lot of you that just tired of losing. I get it. I understand it. But I want to ask you this. If you're just 100% convinced that the coaching staff will never do it, and whenever the owner or who makes that decision feels that way, they need to cut bait and just get out. Mark Davis doesn't feel that way. I told you guys last year, if 2023 looks like 2022, there won't be a 2024. And even though they're 3-3, they're not where they were last year. And you can see when you're around it, just some things. I think Davante's words were poignant. I think him and Max have had some very poignant words. I think Josh Jacobs, this is what I'm hearing from the locker room, have had some very poignant words. Robert Spillane has had some poignant words. Marcus Epps has had some poignant words. But there has been some guys, and this team is rallying. You can feel it. And now has to transfer to wins. But remember, all off season, we talked about consistency. The Raiders get into the season, struggled with that early. The defense now has found some consistency. Now it's time for the offense to find it. But I'm going to say this. This is not hyperbole and it's not blue sky. Neither side of the ball has played their best, and they know it. So I'm not a fan. I certainly don't wish ill on the franchise at all. I cover them. I want them to do well. I know these guys. They work hard. I don't want Raider Nation to have to go through another rebuild. I don't want you guys to have to do that. And these are good people working hard. So I just wanted to address that. Next, I want to get to the quarterback situation. I was emphatic that if Jimmy couldn't go, it was going to be Aiden O'Connell. I'm basing that on information that has been given to me. If it was just a guess, I'd say, no, I guess. I'm going to tell you, early this morning, I maybe even been late last night, but early this morning, talked with somebody who would be directly involved in the process, who made it clear to me that after practice, after watching film and everything yesterday, that may not be as clear. This is not a team that's tanking. And so if Josh gets the feeling as the week goes on that, you know what, we may be in a better spot with Brian. Aiden's coming along a little bit. You know what? Against the Chargers, he had some issues. and Brian's there and we know what Brian is consistently, or maybe Brian's looked better in practice, whatever. So I can only give you information as I get it. I was told before training camp, and I was told after training camp, Brian was going to be the number two. And if Aiden wasn't ready, they would go with Brian if Jimmy got injured. That's why I said I'd be shocked when they played the Chargers. Okay. So then they go with Aiden. And then I was told, okay, you know what? Aiden went. We wanted to get a look. We know what we have in Brian. He was still there as the backup for Aiden in case we needed to pull Aiden. And then I was told after that, okay, if Jimmy goes down again, the plan is to go with Aiden. So this is Aiden's done nothing wrong, and he certainly has not taken a step back. But Brian Hoyer has just demonstrated a lot of things. Other than Josh McDaniels, nobody in that building knows the offense as good as Brian. And even though this is not a win, a game that's as critical as New England, and no game left this year will be, this is a big one and a chance for them to get above 500. Now, Jimmy's not out yet. As of right now, I told you the first day they weren't thinking he would play. I reiterated that on Tuesday and reiterated that on Wednesday. This is early Thursday, so they could eventually maybe rule him out today. I don't know that. Could though. But I still think that the thinking is we're probably going to have to go. I think 75 to 85% it's going to be Brian or Aiden, but still not completely ruled out. Now, later this morning, some tests may come in or they may find something else and say, okay, he's out. I don't expect him to play. Again, 75, 85%. But I'm just letting you know what the thought process is internally. And even though I would still say, yeah, I would say right now, I think the quarterback competition is completely up in the air. And I think that's a good thing. Josh McDaniels is letting these guys battle it out. And I think that's good for the Raiders. I think that this team fully believes in Brian and Aiden, and both of them have the ability to deliver the football. I think Aiden has a learning curve because he's a rookie, and give me a rookie who doesn't. Go look back at Peyton Manning's rookie year. Oof. I think everybody believes that Aiden has the ability to be special. But because the season is still viable, I think that there's a thought process of, but wait a minute. If we were later in the year and playoffs were out of the picture, there'd be no doubt we go with Aiden. But if that's not the case and Brian's playing better, I think that's where the little bit of an angst comes in. So again, I want to make it very clear because everybody knows my relationship with Brian Hoyer, and I don't say it braggadociously. I say it because in the interest of fair disclosure, I have not discussed this with Brian at all, period. The only thing we've discussed was something to do with his children. So this is, I want to make that very clear. Brian is not in any way a source of information for me at all when it comes to this stuff. I protect that friendship. But I know what I'm hearing on the inside, so I wanted to give you that immediately this morning, and I'll always give everything to you as quickly as I can, because I think it's best for you. I don't know why, but I had a bunch of people asking me yesterday if Davante was at practice. Yeah, he was there. I even tweeted a picture of him. I don't know where that came from, but yes, he was there. Now I want to get into this game. This game on Sunday is a get right game. And what I mean by that is, first of all, the record of the Bears is not good. But that doesn't mean they're not coming. It doesn't mean that they're not improving. Now, should the Raiders beat them? No question. No question. Raiders are better. But I think they see this game as, and I know they do, because I had a person reference. You may know I talk about this in my writing and I talk about it in the podcast from time to time. There are certain games where it's not the Raiders playing somebody else. It's them playing themselves. It's them playing to a standard. Okay, here's the standard. When we're playing the Chiefs, here's the standard. And when you're playing the Patriots or you're playing the Bears or a team that's less, you don't lower the standard. You still keep your standard. And I think Josh is getting that across to them. And I think he's doing it again, giving you opinion. I think he's doing a terrific job because guys are echoing it. You're hearing guys, I didn't play up to the standard. I got to execute to the standard. It matters to them. And I just want to say this, and my job is not to be a cheerleader, but it is to tell you truth. Whether you like Josh, hate Josh, whatever, whether you like Jimmy, can't stand Jimmy, or just don't, maybe you like him and don't want him to be the quarterback, whatever, whether you're Team Hoyer, Team Aiden, whatever. If you're a Raider, I think that you can take some solace that you're 3-3 with a team that's squarely fighting, scrapping for their coach and with their coach. And there's no giving up. None. And they've not played their best football, which is a big deal. And they're playing to they're getting it. And so that's me just telling you what's inside the locker room. Now, you may take that information and say, yeah, all right, but I don't care. Or I still think they suck. Okay, that's fine. That's a very viable opinion. I'm just telling you, I think the players would disagree with you vehemently. And if you don't like Josh, that's fine, but the players would disagree with you. And I think that's important. If you did not watch, we put the video up yesterday of Josh's press conference. If you didn't watch it, I really encourage you to do it. Now, there is a group of people that just don't like him or they don't like his speaking style or whatever. That's fine. But if you listen to it, he said a lot. You could hear the voicing of the frustration with everybody, not just players, with himself. He knows he's got to fix it. But when he got done, I turned to Mark Anderson, who's the AP writer, and I said, that was one of his best press conferences. And he agreed with me. Very substantive, very substantive. And I would encourage you to make sure that you go watch it. All right, let's talk about the defensive line. I wrote during training camp that the defensive line was going to be loaded. There was a lot of talent there. And I want to talk about it a little bit because you see John Jenkins, who I've written and talked about a lot. This is a guy, you may remember I had Alan Pupar, who's our I'm trying to remember his title, but he's our Sports Illustrated Fan Nation writer from the All Dolphins, join us when the Raiders signed him. This is a guy who is a long-term veteran, big guy. He's a bicyclist, which is funny because he's a big guy like me. And he probably has me outweighed by 100 pounds, and I'm probably 3 or 4 inches taller, but still big guy. And he's playing terrifically well. In fact, I think he's playing him and Adam Butler. Remember, I had Mike Wall on the show, the former Packer player, a couple weeks ago, who talked about how good they're playing. They're playing really well. Bilal Nichols is playing tremendously well. Jerry Tillery, we saw, the bad hit in the Charger game, the penalty the year before when he knocked the ball out of the player's hands, but Jerry is playing very well. No one has ever questioned Jerry Tillery's talent. And oh, by the way, I really like him as a guy. Good guy. But he'll make some boneheaded mistakes. You got to rein that in. And I think without getting into a lot of detail, I think Max Crosby is reining it in. That's yeah. But they're coming. Byron Young got some really critical reps. I talked about him the other day, so I don't want to be redundant. Go back and watch the other podcasts this week, but Byron Young did some really good things. I want to talk about Nesta Jade Silvera because um, Nesta, a lot of people have asked me, why is he not dressed? Okay, they have a ton of defensive tackles. And so when you see him and Byron Young battling who's going to be active on game day and who's not, it's because the others are performing at a very high level. He has done nothing wrong. He's progressing. Him and Byron are progressing. And so they're battling it out for that last defensive tackle spot. I know some people are frustrated and want to see him playing. Okay. So do you take a veteran and deactivate him when he's playing better? Okay. This week against Chicago, they run the ball really well. Okay. So you got to have your best defensive tackles. I'm going to tell you this. There is nobody in the organization has lost 1 ounce of hope with Nesta. Not one. So if you don't see him dressed, you need to take it as a compliment to the other players who've raised their standard of play. And it means nobody's injured. So again, I just want to remind you, that's not a slam on him. So I've heard some people say, why are we not playing Nesta? Or Nesta must suck. No, not playing him because other guys are playing better. Him and Byron are battling each week. Rookies learning the system. But also, he is a rookie and he's learning and adjusting. But no faith at all has been lost in him and Byron. Not one bit. I know that because I asked somebody, have you lost some faith in Nesta? No. He's got some growing he's got to do, some not growing like lifting weights, just or I mean not growing like adding height, but he's got, he's a rookie and he's going through it. Amari Burney. This is a guy making some plays too. Chris Smith. This is a guy they brought in that when Epps' contract is over, they can see him segue in. So they're playing some games with Trayvon playing really well. They're using a lot of corners that you haven't seen Chris has activated as much. It does not mean he's not growing and getting better. I don't like in the NFL where all 53 don't get the dress. I just think that's stupid, but it is what it is. But so you got some guys, all right, if they're not up the food chain, you leave them off. And you see that a lot with rookies. To me, again, I'm not trying to convince you. I am, however, relying information. I don't think there's anything to worry about with these rookies. I think this was a really good, solid rookie class. Really good. But there's also some really good veterans who are playing. I mean, again, Trayvon. This is his third year playing his best football. It's not even close. And remember, his rookie year, he was fantastic for a rook. And I think he's playing really good right now. Patrick Graham's Merry Band of Misfits is just they're playing above where they were. That's all coaching. And do I think that there are some weaknesses on that defensive coaching staff? Uh-huh. Not all of them, not even close to all of them. I think there's some really good coaches. Patrick Graham's done a great job. Now, there are some offenses coming that I think the Raiders are going to have a lot of trouble with just because of their youth and in the way they're built that maybe they don't match up well with. But they're playing super well. And I wouldn't be worried about Nesta at all. I want to get into two more things and then we're going to be done. But I got an airplane to catch. I want to talk about Josh Jacobs because I am seeing something in him I've never seen before. He's always been liked, always. That's never been an issue with JJ. But he's being a leader now. And I think he knows it. All right. All right. In my 5th year, I think he feels comfortable in his skin. I think he knows the talent that he has. I think he's extremely frustrated like Davante and Josh are. But the frustration isn't because he doesn't believe in the system. The frustration is because they're not executing the system. And I just want you to keep an eye on him. I think he's once they get the passing attack worked out, and it's not that they're not throwing it, but where they can go downfield and do some things to lighten up that box, you're going to see Josh take off. He's going to explode. This guy is, if you've ever been around horses, he's like a horse with a bit in his mouth that wants to run. I remember riding our horse Apache one time and beautiful, beautiful paint horse and wanting to go, and you're holding back on them reins like, hold on, Apache, wait a minute, wait till we get to an open place, where we can see the trail. Just hold on, and then once you hit it, if you've ever been on a horse that wants to run, you know what that's like when you give them their mouth, and it's fun, man. It's a blast, especially when you're going through the snow, and snow's flying in the air. Sorry, it's a lot of fun, and you can just feel it. Okay, we believe in the scheme. We did it last year. Let me go. It's close. I think there is a lot of feeling we're close, and let's go do that in Chicago before we get to Monday night. When we get to Monday Night Football, it's going to be the third nationally televised game. When I say let's, I'm referring to what they're thinking. Let's get this right. Let's get this right. Now, I think they're going to lose in Detroit. I think they're going to win this weekend. I think they're going to lose in Detroit. But they go up to Chicago and they're able to fix this. I think they're going to walk in there with some swagger now. I think they're going to walk into the Motor City saying, let's party. Let's party. Be a lot of fun. And I just, again, Mark and I and Ezekiel were talking about, or Sam, and I just thought it was, the mood of the locker room was very interesting. Watch that Max Crosby interview, and I think you'll like it. But I'm really impressed watching Josh grow up. And I think he is very much a key part of this team with what he does and how he does it. And I like the way that he's talking to young guys. I like the way he's talking to his offensive line. I had one person tell me, I don't remember if it was last night or this morning, but tell me that he's talking more than he ever has. Um, um, Jumping on some guys for accountability when they need it, but encouraging guys. I was told last night again, or this morning, I don't remember, that there was a situation where he walked over to a defender recently within the last week. Could have even been on game day. Could have made a mistake, and people were like, "Wow, Josh was over there encouraging him." So I really enjoy watching his maturation, and I just wanted to give you that because that's something I'm going to be looking for very soon. I think he's ready for a breakout game. Now, if it's going to come against the Bears, they have one of the best rushing defenses in the NFL. That means the Raiders are going to have to use the pass to set up the run. So again, that's what I believe is holding them back most. We're watching for it to see what happens. Okay, the last thing I want to talk about is I'm hearing and I'm seeing it, a lot of people asking me in a negative way about the Patriot way. Now, when you hire somebody from the Dolphins, they're going to bring people like Patrick Graham brings in John Jenkins. Why? Because he'd been with them with the Dolphins. There are a lot of things, a lot of people here who are Patriot centric. I give you that. But Josh McDaniels is doing a lot of things differently than the Patriot way. A lot of things differently. And I believe this wholeheartedly. I believe this, by the way. This franchise needed some discipline. Now they got it with Rich Bisaccia. Rich Bisaccia brought in a more disciplined approach, and the players liked it. Um, Not ripping on Gruden. You all know I liked Gruden, but Rich Bisaccia brought in a little bit more disciplined approach. Zach brought in a little bit more disciplined approach. I mean, Josh, but when I say discipline, it's not like you're raising a child. I don't mean it that way. Just a standard. Okay. Um, when Gruden was here, if they won, there were some things that maybe didn't get talked about in team meetings. With Josh, okay, great, we won, but here's what we got to go fix. Why? Because the standard's here. We have to continually play to the standard. And so I know it's low fruit to say I don't want the Patriots West. I hate the Patriots. Listen, I'm not a Belichick guy. And there was a time I was, but the more I get to know people in that organization and everything else, I'm not going to get into it now, but you may remember, I'm the one that first reported about Josh McDaniels. Then people said it isn't going to happen, and it did. I'm connected there, and I'm the one that said a few months ago, if he doesn't make the playoffs, I fully expect him to not be the coach of the Patriots next year. He has alienated everyone in that organization, everyone. And I know several people in that organization. I think they respect him as a football mind, but I don't know any of them that publicly they would all say it, but privately who that they like him, but who we have. I think everybody has just given up on him. I think he's lost his locker room and everything else. Um, and so I challenge you. It's low hanging fruit to say the Patriot way because there's a bunch of Patriots, and I get that. But I just want you to know because I'm aware of the inner workings of the Patriots and I'm aware of the inner workings of how things are going on here in Henderson. And I just want you to know I think that's a narrative that, while it's easy to apply, is not accurate. Now we're going to find out. And it brings me to our last point. I've addressed it once. I'm not going to address it again. I don't think I will. Last week's game was the biggest of Josh McDaniels' career because had he lost to the Patriots as bad as they were, I do not think there was a way for him to recover from that. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, I fully expect Josh McDaniels to be back in 2024. Fully expect it. I mean, if the team utterly collapsed, do I think there is a chance he wouldn't come back? But I'm not expecting an utter collapse. So I'm just saying to you, it is absolutely germane to be fair and be critical. I would hope none of you would question my willingness to be critical when it's genuine. But I would also hope none of you would question my willingness to be fair. And while there is a ton of Patriots here, and while there are some things that they do very similar to the Patriots, there's a lot that they don't do. A lot that they don't do. And I think that's it's common. Now, they could go up to Chicago and get beat and lose all the momentum. True. Absolutely possible. But I just isn't the tangible reality when you're in there. It isn't the tangible reality when you're texting guys or talking to guys. It just is not the reality of it. So I would challenge you. Is there a lot of Patriots? Yes. Is there a lot of things that they do that the Patriots do? Yes. But there's a ton they don't. They are doing it differently. And I think you may remember I've said to you before, I don't think he's lost the locker room. I think guys are questioning. Clearly, Davante is, and others. But their questioning is not the scheme. Their questioning is the execution. How are we getting there? Do I think anybody in that building thinks all of this is Josh's fault? No. Because I've asked people. Do they think it is holistically all of us with execution errors? Yes. and they're in it together. And I think that's something that should be encouraging to you. So, a lot more stuff coming up in these podcasts. It's going to be a big, 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 big fun week in Chicago. I wish it were December though, with the snow and the sleet and the, sorry, I've been doing so many interviews all over the country. Anyways, I'd love to see the sleet coming in off of Lake Michigan and the streets of Chicago, just snow and everybody bundled up. The steam coming out of your mouth. It's not going to be that way, unfortunately. It's going to be like 55 degrees. So it's going to be not. I mean, when you know they're playing the NFC North this year, weren't we all hoping for just like, the games that are in Chicago? We know Detroit's got a stadium in the Vikings in Green Bay's coming here, so it's indoors. And we know the Lions play at Ford Field, which is indoors. Weren't we all just kind of hoping it's going to be a war in Chicago? I mean, grab yourself a couple of hot dogs and a piece of Giordano pie, and Uncle Honda's going to eat up in Chicago now. Tell my wife, I'm kidding. I'm going to behave myself on my diet. But still, it's going to be a lot of great football. It's going to be a good weekend. And so I hope you're enjoying all these videos from the locker room. I hope you're getting lots of information. Again, I can't thank you enough. You guys are subscribing, you're following, you're reading, you're watching, you're listening. You guys are amazing. I appreciate you, Raider Nation. Genuinely appreciate you. And I hope you have a great day. I'm going to bring you a lot more great information today, so make sure you're checking it out. Remember, I'm Hondo Carpenter, Sports Illustrated's Fan Nation, Las Vegas Raiders Insider Podcast. We're part of the Fan Sports Network. We'll see you all later, everybody. Somebody asked me one time, are you looking at your producer and you look out of the corner of your eye? No, I'm old. I'm trying to find where I turned it off at. So have a good one, everybody. Thanks.